Hello and welcome to the first Korg microARRANGER tutorial and review. I've been combining the tutorials and the reviews together because the tutorials seem to work good as a review, especially in the beginning at the first couple of tutorials. So you've just seen a performance that I did on the microARRANGER. Now you notice I wasn't playing the microARRANGER, I was playing this keyboard. But all of the sound was coming from the Korg. And what I did is I took this is my 88 key weighted piano, and I MIDI cabled out of that into the Korg, set the Korg up to receive the MIDI channel, and now the Korg is what's actually playing. So I can turn the volume up on this. And all you can do is hear the speakers in here. So we're playing the Korg, but I'm just doing it from the remote area through MIDI. And that is the ideal setup for this arranger, especially if you're a piano player. And I've spoke about this before. There isn't any real 88 weighted key piano arrangers out there on the market, and you can spend up to $5,000 for an arranger and you're still only going to get 76 semi-weighted keys. So because this has standard 5-pin MIDI in and out on the back of this Korg, it will receive anything you want to send it from any kind of controller you choose, and I chose this one. So I don't want anybody to be mistaken that they're actually hearing this Yamaha, but the Yamaha is not going to the recorder at all. There's no connection whatsoever other than the MIDI connection to the Korg. Now, some of you people may be confused with MIDI, but I don't want to explain it in this tutorial. There's plenty of other tutorials for MIDI on the internet and on YouTube, and I even have my own tutorial if you want to watch that. But I just want to make sure that everybody understood that I was not playing or adding sounds to the Korg. Everything you heard in that performance came from the Korg, including the effects. No external effects have been included. The only thing I've done is put a slight amount of compression on this so I got a good sound going to the recorder. But the MIDI keys, I just can't play them. I have large hands. I'm 6 foot, 195 pounds. But as you can see, they are playable. And as a MIDI key goes, these are very MIDI. They're very short and they're very small. I can stretch an octave and 5 notes on it. Well, that might be stretching. Octave and 4. I can do only a key short there. So any serious player will probably want the setup that I got, and that is to run your weighted 88 into the Korg. Now you have to make sure that you have standard MIDI pin outs on your controller or on your piano. Now this is a Yamaha P95, and it has MIDI cables out, not the USB. Don't confuse the USB with MIDI. Here it's the same piano. So let's get into the review and the tutorial. As you could hear from the performance at the beginning of the video, it is a very good sounding instrument, and especially everybody's interested in piano, and I certainly emphasize the piano in that. So you heard the piano. piano is certainly good sounding. It's not the best piano in the world, but this is a $500 instrument. You're getting a darn good piano, and you're getting a huge amount of function in this arranger. As you can see, as you could hear during that performance video, there was a lot of sounds coming out of here. I was switching sounds all over the place. And that all came from one saved performance. You can save as many performances as you want, up to, I think there's 160 slots or so. But everything you heard on that performance was one performance save. And then I programmed the pad keys. You have 4 pad keys up here, and I programmed these to turn on and off the individual instruments. Because the configuration for this arranger, as far as playing instrument goes, without the arranger turned on, is you have 4 total sounds that can play together. So right now I can switch my instruments on and off with these pads because I programmed them, or I can do it directly from the front panel. So now nothing's playing. So there's 4 instruments. You have a split instrument that works down here when you're in the split mode. And you have 3 instruments that can be combined or run individually. So on this performance that I programmed, I have a dark pad, this piano, grand piano, and a solo violin. And you can combine any of those you want. So there's the full keyboard. This is the full keyboard range, and 3 instruments are layered on top. Now if you want to play 4 instruments, you'd have to turn the split on, and now I have a split in my left hand, and splits at middle C. So here we go. And now you're hearing 4 sounds at once, and that's the maximum amount of sounds that you can play. And this is what Korg is calling the real-time instruments. Now Korg, if you're not familiar with Korg and you bought a Korg, Korg refers to their instruments as programs, and they refer to their the save setup, like I did here, as a performance. So my save setup is a performance, but my program is instruments, and it includes a dark pad, a grand piano, and a solo violin. And any of those can be turned on and played individually or in combination. And that's what really attracted me to this in the first place, is getting, most keyboards allow you to layer 2, but this is about the only one in this price range that allows you to layer 3 instruments. So we had 3 instruments layered, and I was turning those on and off during the performance, so I got different instruments. So when I started the performance, so let's begin. I'll show you how. Now the performance has already been programmed in here. I did that before, and I set up the instruments I wanted, in which configuration. I chose the style that I wanted, and then I saved all of this into a performance under which, by adjusting levels too. You can quickly adjust each level of each of the real-time instruments. So all of that was prepared beforehand, so it was ready to go. So besides the 3 instruments that we have, available at any time when in style play, and that's what we are. We're in style play. At any time, you can go to what's called this STS, and that is the single touch setting. So with one touch out of these four buttons up here, which are kind of convenient to get to, with a single touch, you can get another set of 4 instruments, 3 on top, 1 on the bottom, three right, and 1 on the bottom for split. You can get a total of another 4 instruments all set up. So there's my number 1, my number 2. Number 3 has got horns in the section. Number 4 is a slightly different piano setup than number 1. So that gives you just a massive amount of choices. Now, when I go to these 4 buttons for switching, again, you can turn those on and off in any combination. So that gives you a total of 4, 8, 12, 16 different instruments that you can perform under one performance. That makes this thing very, very versatile. So let's go through the setup to get me started here. First of all, I am going to, with these switches here, we have the program, we have program, performance, and style change. And then over here, we have this button lit up. Now you notice style change is lit up and the STS, or single touch setting, is lit up. When these are lit up and I go to my performance and I select my performance and that would be key number 1, and then under number 1 there are 4 options. I'm going to select the top one. I'm going to exit so I can see what I've got, and now I'm on 11.1. This is a performance I saved under 11.1. And it's saved as a split. And when I started it, though, I played just a solo piano. So I'm going to go off of my split and change it to full range. So right now, there's 4 sounds in here. The split is displayed, but because we're not on split mode, we're playing a full piano, so that overrides the split, which is the number 4 down, the 4th one down. So right now I have 4 sounds in there, but I only have the grand piano active. Now, like I said, I can turn anything on or off. Any combination I want out of those 3. So this is how the performance video started. So I started with the then, after I did the little solo piano there, I switched it from full keyboard to the split, and then did a split piano and string without the rhythm one. Then, as that was playing, I held this down and then I started the rhythm. I got ready at the last beat to put the fill in. We have two fill-ins. I used the number 1 fill-in. Okay, so now I have the arranger running, and then I still have the solo piano over the top. And after I went through that solo, I turned the piano off and turned the violin and the pad on for after that one, I turned the pad off and had just the solo violin. And this joystick can be programmed in a lot of different ways too. So what you saw me do is instead of having a sharp ending to that violin, I was able to taper it off. And that can give you pitch bend too, of course. You can do both things at once. Now once I had gone through those sounds and interchanged them and layered them, I then went to my first single touch, which is number 1. And you can go to another version over here. So what it was this piano, but it was the piano, but it also has 2 other instruments layered in there with it. You can hear after piano fades out that there's a what's called a pad. There's 2 different pads behind it. Also, saved under that single touch setting, it automatically brought me back to full keyboard. So now under full keyboard, and because upper and lower are lit there, the arranger hears chords arranger here chords across the entire keyboard instead of just the split. Because when you change it to split, it only reads the chords down here. And then for the rest of the performance, I switched between the 4 options of the STS, the single touch settings. Touch with the horns. And then I finished up the last one with the and hit the ending to give me a nice ending on there. Now, everything was programmed for this performance, except I did not edit my sounds and I did not create my own rhythm. This is a stock waltz. This is slow waltz, called slow waltz. It's a stock rhythm that was in here. But this Korg is completely editable. I can edit the sounds and I can make my rhythms from scratch. So I did not need to. I could go much farther than what I already did. So you can see how deep this thing goes. It goes very deep. Check my video time here. As you can see, this Korg goes very, very, very deep. Not only do we have 16 different instruments we can play in a single saved performance, and you can switch between performances too. So you could go right up the rack and you could have 16, 32, 64 different instruments all. So the whole idea is so you don't play this thing, so you don't play boring. You're not stuck with a couple of sounds. There's a lot of options while you're playing, and I showed you just about I showed you every option that was available as far as performance of what you could switch while playing a single saved performance. And I think that's enough for now. I think everybody can judge the sound as being pretty good. I ended up with I put these pads can be these 4 pads that I configured originally for turning on and off instruments. They can also carry you can program other instruments in here. Now, unfortunately, they don't allow you to put any of the available instruments in here. It's a kind of a short list. So it's basically a short list of a few percussions and a few sound effects that you can put in here, which is kind of strange, but there is a limit. There's only maybe 128 options here, where there's hundreds and hundreds of total sounds in here. So what I used them for is, instead of putting instruments in there, I used them for turning, instead of using these buttons here to turn on and off instruments, which is, you have to be kind of coordinated. It's hard to see these, you know, which one of these goes to the display. Plus, you got to hit both buttons at the same time to turn on and off instruments. Where here, it's right up front, and I can turn them on and off. So let me go back to my original program. Exit. So the original program's saved with the piano, and then I've saved the first 3 to turn on the top 3 instruments. Turn on or off. There are all 3 on at the same time. You have all those choices. So yes, we got some halfway decent sounds in here, which we will be going over in the next, or in one of the next tutorials. You'll get to hear some of the built-in sounds unedited. We also have 4 effect slots, so there's plenty of effects in here, and effects aren't too bad. What you're hearing now is 2 effects at the same time. You're hearing a reverb and a delay. You might say, well, that sounds crappy for piano. Well, yeah, when you play like that, it does, but when you play slow, that delay gives me a little warmer, thicker sound. Let's go to full keyboard. Pretty hard to hear that delay now, isn't it? So stay tuned for the next tutorial slash reviews on this very nice keyboard.